Israel, who's been the only Republican willing to speak out against Israel, who's been the only Republican who has consistently voted against Representative Thomas Massie, who's been the only Republican willing to speak out against Israel, who's been the only Republican who has consistently voted against sending more military aid to Israel, had to sit down and interview with Tucker Carlson. And it was kind of amazing.
It was mind blowing because as much as I think I do know, I'm like, wow, this is a problem. And we would call it out if it was the Chi-Coms, right? So let's talk about it.
Against Israel. I've never voted to sanction Israel. I've never said anything particularly, critical of Israel, other than, for instance, right now they're bombing. They've killed 1% of the civilian population in Gaza. That's concerning to me. I vote my conscience, which they won't tolerate. So they ran with their 501c4 before they had a super PAC. They were running educational advocacy ads against me saying that, I'm bad on Israel. This election cycle, they spent $400,000 against me, $90,000 last fall running TV ads in my district and Facebook ads and whatnot.
They've called you a bigot and they call you an anti-Semite and say you're a hater and try to destroy your character.
So I didn't want to cut off anything that Thomas Massie was saying. Thomas Massie also went on this interview and told people that when you work, when you answer to this AIPAC Israel lobby, that you are given a handler to make sure that you're voting the right things for Israel, that you're voting the right things for, the people of Israel, Jewish people to, advance their causes. I mean, they're paying you a ridiculous amount of money. You better do it, right? Forget everybody else. You're getting paid good money, so you got to do it. We got to go to war for Israel, right? I mean, this is what he's saying. He's there. What else do people need? So Thomas really, and look, they're putting money out to go against him. They tried to campaign against him. This is a foreign nation getting involved with American elections, and we wonder about election rigging. Okay, so are we ready to have the discussions or are we not?
During a recent sit-down interview between Tucker Carlson and Kentucky's Libertarian Congressman Thomas Massie, we learned quite a bit about how AIPAC, the lobby that basically represents Israel, how much sway they have over Republican politicians in particular. Now,
but he spoke on a Republican because he's a Republican, so he spoke with a Republican narrative, rhetoric. But it's not just Republicans. Be clear. AIPAC has been on Twitter saying like, yo, we gotta have Democrats too. Okay.
Now, Thomas Massie experienced quite a bit firsthand. And I think the insight that he provided in the context of this interview was worthy of a listen and honestly something that I give him props for, even as a member of the Republican Party who has a bunch of stances I totally disagree with. He's against reproductive rights for women. He's not the kind of politician that I would typically support.
She's saying that so she can still stay okay. She's saying that so that her side won't come eat her alive. So she has to get all the disclaimers out the way. I refuse. I can't live like this anymore. And I'm not Ana Kasparian, right? But everything always has to be I don't agree with him here. Listen, I'm telling you what's going on right now. That's it, and that's all. All right? Figure out the rest later. That's it.
But he does appear to be incredibly principled when it comes to the issue of foreign aid to various countries, including Israel. And he consistently voted against offering Israel more military aid during this current war. And that led to a lot of attacks against him, but he persisted. And again, I give him credit for that. During this interview, he even went so far as to say that every Republican lawmaker has an AIPAC babysitter.
If you guys like this episode so far, please don't forget to hit the like button. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe and notification bell. Thank you guys for watching. Always appreciate everybody who watches.
which you definitely want to stick around for. We're going to get to that clip in just a moment. But first, let's actually start at the beginning with what Massie experienced as he was running for Congress. Massie says that his first run with AIPAC was in 2012 when they actually had this strange request for him.
They tried to get me to write a white paper as a candidate, for instance, for Congress. They almost get
on what?
On Israel, like, and I wouldn't do it. And they said, why? And I'm like, I don't do homework for lobbyists, right? I'm like, I didn't like writing term papers at college. I'm not writing one for you.
What did they say?
They said, oh, well, here, just copy Rand Paul's term paper and put your name on it. We'll accept that. And I'm like, no, I'm still not cribbing somebody else's homework to do homework. I'm not turning in my homework for you. And what? I mean, you're laughing, but you know what? I bet I may be the only Republican in Congress who hasn't done homework for AIPAC. And it's just what it is. It's conditioning. They want you to do something very simple and benign, and for them, they don't really grade your term paper. They just want to know that you'll do something for them. And if you'll do something for them as a candidate, you're more likely to do something for them as a congressman when you get in there.
Absolutely disgusting and disgraceful. They're gonna do their little thing with the memberships. That is disgraceful, y'all. Like that really is disgraceful. We're gonna hear just a little bit more of what he just had this, what he's been saying. But the fact is, they put them through little tests. Like, hey, do this paper. Let me see what's up. Let me see if you're going to listen to me and do what I tell you to do, because we pay you, or we're testing you so that when you get in there, you will always do what we tell you to do. Sometimes, because when you're looking at the news and you're picking out content and everything, and you're figuring, you're producing a show and everything, it could be almost black pilling. It can. I don't get black pill because, I know that I do believe in the creator, God. So, God keeps me at peace to just share this information. But it's like, like really, I mean, seriously? It almost makes me feel like, do we even have a country? Like, what's happening here, right?
How did they respond to that?
Well, they kind of got in my race a little too late there in the beginning, and because it was hard to tell that I was actually going to win. And when they saw I was going to win, that's when they tried to get me to do the term paper. They didn't have a political action committee at the time. They couldn't spend hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars against me at that time. It was just sort of like a whisper campaign to try to, hey, don't vote for him, blah, blah, blah.
That's why.
Because at that point, they sensed I wouldn't do what they wanted when I got.
But what did they whisper against you? What were they saying about you?
Well, they would do it through, for instance, churches, evangelical churches. They've got an organization called Christians United for Israel, where they sort of co-opted evangelicals.
So, and we can even, to end right there, like I said, he goes on and he talks about like how they have handlers and everything, right? I'm glad he brought the Christian part into it, right? I'm glad he talked about QFI, Christians United for Israel, a church that sends a bunch of money to Israel, that donates to, AIPAC, everything, literally works with AIPAC hand in hand. John Hagee, to me, is a sorry, God, he's a demon, because you're leading a bunch of Christians into this worship of Israel. This is a problem in America, okay? So believe me, there's many hands that are involved in this. But what we take away from this, always, even if you're not religious, you don't have to be none of that, right? Take away from this. If you live in America, you are a citizen who doesn't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to bribe the politicians. You're America last, right? And I don't care about people who make a lot of money. Be clear, I don't. But I'm just making it very clear to you. We are not living in any kind of America first state. We are America last. We're always expected to care about everybody else's issues, about everybody else's problems. We don't have borders. We are not a sovereign nation. Our so-called president is always falling. He's not, last I heard, he defecated himself. And, God forgive me, I'm not making jokes. Like, what have we become? And this so-called president is actually going to make an announcement about giving amnesty to legal immigrants. So we are it's a free for all. It's a buffet. Come in and get it. America, all you can eat, right? Okay.